bold team, and now these haters salty. Rockin' Zenny.
And we're
Love
here.
that song.
I know. I'm like,
Yeah, you gotta love it.
popping.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Niners Jess, along with Ty, Becca. We are the East Coast Red and Gold. How's everybody doing?
Better now that we're here.
Yes.
Exactly. Doing good. We're live.
I have a lot to talk about today.
Yeah.
Last week, next week, everything in between.
Exactly.
But first, just wanted to start off because it's our first show, and being that we are fans on the East Coast, that we could just tell, our fans how we became 49ers fans. So whoever wants to take the floor first, go right ahead.
Take it away, Jess. You started this.
Yeah.
You go first.
All right. So my dad in the 70s was watching Notre Dame. He was watching Joe Montana from 74 to 78. And then in 79, the Niners drafted him, and the rest is history. So now it's me, my dad, my mom, my brother, my nephew, my one sister, all 49ers fans. I'm the one in the Joe Montana jersey with the helmet. That was my Halloween costume 1 year. And then me and my brother and my dog, Casey, my nephew Reed, and then the family photo for the 2019 Super Bowl. So that's my story in a nutshell.
All right. Good stuff.
Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah. I'm Ty, New Yorker, born and raised, representing the red and gold. I became a fan when I was 10. I really got into football, started playing football and watching football, and wanted to learn everything I can. And my uncle had this intro to pro football book that recapped the 83 season and had the Redskins on the cover. And he's like, read this, you'll love it. And I read it, and he was like, when you're done, put it back on the bookshelf. So I went to the bookshelf to put it back, and he had another book, and it was for the 1982 season. And it had the 49ers on the cover with a story of Joe Montana, and I read it. And I read all about how they were this new innovative pass first team, Bill Walsh's offense. And me being a wide receiver at the time, I was all about the pass first, pass. If you give me that, I was happy. So I was like, okay, I'm interested in this team. And then I saw them play on TV. And of course they had the red and the gold, and I was sold from there. Done. That was it. I was in love since then. So that's
well, you picked the right team.
Yeah.
For sure.
I would say I did. Yeah.
Good choice.
So,
go ahead, Becca.
I suck because I forgot to send you my pictures, but
it's okay.
Since we're sitting in the Dividend, I was like, let me run and grab it. I grew up in West Virginia, so my first love was baseball and basketball because I grew up in the same town as Jerry West. You had no choice but be a Laker fan.
Uh-huh.
And my grandfather loved baseball, so I got to sit and watch baseball with him. So some of my early fondest memories are that. But football, I didn't care. I didn't even know what a first down was. And in elementary school, the boys came to some of us girls that they knew loved sports, and we're like, hey, we have this football club, and we want a person, basically it was a high-low football pool. And we want a person putting lunch money in for every team, but we need a couple more people. Would you girls be interested? We have the Niners, the Chiefs, or the Saints. And I obsessed over which team to pick. And I actually was like, I can't tell you until I go home and talk to my uncle, because he was my go-to guru, de facto father that I consulted for everything. I was like, Uncle John, who should I pick? And he's like, well, they all suck.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. And I was like, well, what exactly are the 49ers? And he's like, well, it has to do with the gold rush in California. And so then, you have to go look in encyclopedias way back in my day, because I'm old. And so, we didn't have internet and Google. So I thought long and hard about all three teams. And I was like, the Gold Rush, California, that sounds really cool. I like that angle more than anything else, and picked the Niners based on that. So that was in 1980, the year that I think Joe Montana first came in and played, and they won the Super Bowl. And then the boys wanted to switch all the teams, and I was like, oh no, that's my team now. That's mine. So that's what started it all. And I shared with Jess and Ty that, in high school we had the opportunity to do a report on anything we wanted. So I picked The Fundamentals of Football, which is a book that was 4 inches thick, all about football. And I march in on finals in high school and do my report. And all the guys at this point knew me so well. They were so butthurt that they didn't pick that as a topic. And here some girl is doing The Fundamentals of Football as her final in high school. So that's my 49ers story. But one of the things I wanted to share, that also as a 10-year-old, I was the only girl who probably asked for Sports Illustrated. Have the catch.
That's a sweet magazine.
Yeah.
It's extra sweet now because Dwight signed it and I have the pictures. But also my favorite Joe Montana one that I saved that was in excellent, pristine condition. I think
that's awesome too.
Yeah.
But I have a whole bunch more on the wall.
Oh, cool.
And some old football cards too that go way back.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I have a few of those.
Right, but yeah, so some really cool memorabilia from the old days. But I've been around a long time and have never once cheered for another team, never once bet on another football team other than the Niners. So
that's right.
Same here.
Even when I know we're going to lose, I never bet against them. Yeah.
Same here. All right. So week 3 recap.
Wait, real quick. Can we give a shout out to Melissa, who's in the chat? She's the first one here. Yes. A fellow East Coaster, Jersey gal. She always represents. Melissa, we see you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your support. Appreciate it. So the game on Sunday night.
Yeah.
I mean, we looked good in the first quarter. I mean, I think we did what we were supposed to do in the first quarter. We stopped them on the first drive, and we came out guns a-blazing. We looked good, like we knew what we were doing. Went down, got the touchdown, and seemingly started to unravel after that.
Yep.
But I felt like the first quarter was solid.
Right. And you would think that it was something to build off of, right. I mean, but then it just kind of
spiraled down.
It spiraled down. That's for sure.
Well, it was your typical kind of 49ers game where we come out the gates swinging. And you're like, this team has no chance. We're going to blow them out.
In that the defense will shut down everybody else. But in the offense, when the offense comes out and we don't capitalize on those early stops where the defense is like lights out, they made the punter punt more that night than in his entire career. So that tells me the defense did their job and gave us every opportunity to take the lead, and not only take the lead, but take a commanding lead. And put this game away by halftime, and we didn't do it. Our offense could not score, and Jimmy's rusty, people coming back off of injuries. I don't know, just clunky coordination on their part, but it was disappointing to see us go into halftime not with a much larger lead than we had.
Yeah.
And this thing happened with the Chicago game too.
Exactly.
I mean, we should have been ahead. And, Ty, you were there. We should have been ahead by like 21 points.
Yeah. I was in Chicago watching it live. And, what's funny? It's always great to go to a road game and hear the reaction from opposing teams' fans. And they were somber. Like, they knew their offense wasn't moving the ball. And when we missed opportunities to score and such, they were like breathing a sigh of relief, like, oh, we dodged a bullet.
Well, they kind of did. I do feel like the water in that game was a major impact. Like
Huge.
it was an unfair disadvantage because it was Trey Lance debut and all those things and just really not
Yeah,
not a
it was
nice,
unfair
environment.
offensively for both teams. I mean, what didn't I watched the game again when I got back. What you didn't pick up on camera was that the field was soaking wet.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah, the
referee
field
would
was
wipe off the
terrible.
ball, but then put the ball down basically into a puddle.
Into a
So
puddle.
it's
Yeah.
soaking wet
Wasn't there
again.
like an unusual penalty where who got penalized for trying to like wipe the field? Wasn't that in that game? They tried to like
They were
move
trying
the
to
water
like
away
because
from
there were literal puddles in the field, so they were like trying to kick puddles away to keep the ball dry.
reminiscent of
couldn't do it.
the Washington game.
The Washington game. Yep.
Yeah, that Washington game was fun.
I didn't go to the Washington game. I was in the Baltimore game in the freezing rain.
Yeah, I was to both, so it was different type of rain in both games.
Yeah.
But Melissa, I am from Morris County. I used to live in Bergen County. To answer your question.
Oh, I see the chat now. I do. I'm at RebDab, Melissa. REBDAB. Yep.
Nice and simple.
Exactly. Otherwise, like Jess, I have a Polish last name, so it always gets messed up. So
yeah,
keep it simple.
We'll be here forever spelling all the vowels.
Yes,
and consonants.
The consonants too, right?
So, you know what? I don't.
So in last week's game, let me ask the two of you.
Go ahead.
Kyle's call on the penalty. Do we accept or decline the penalty? And the outcome of that, obviously, with 1 point difference in the game, there's multiple things that come into play. Obviously, Jimmy's safety and that field goal. So, should we have let them kick, or should we have backed them up and let Russell Wilson, who we know very well, take a 3rd and long second chance shot?
I think Kyle made the right call because it is Russell Wilson. And, once you let Russ cook, that's what's going to happen. And we could have really gotten, they could have really gotten a touchdown with that. So.
Well, we back him up, but it's Russell Wilson on a different team, a new
Yeah, but you know what? Later on in the game, though, you saw Russell Wilson of old
doing what Russell does, and that is absolutely true. You let him get comfortable, like those little dump passes he's basically almost on a knee and shovel passing it to someone who runs for 40 yards. So. Or a 35-yard pickup or something. So yes, we all have those, like, I feel like nightmare shadow, seeing shadows over the shoulder of Russell Wilson. And I do think he made the conservative call. Probably the better call was to make him earn it. We were shutting them down. The defense had shut him down in that whole first half. So to give them a chance to get points, I was like, I don't know. The defense is doing their job at that point. So I felt like that call could have gone either way, but with a 1 point differential, if Jimmy didn't step out, if we didn't give him a chance to take a shot at the field goal, we should have won this game in a number of ways. So
I think people are just questioning that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because it's a 1 point game, and they're looking at everything as to we lost by 1. What could we have done different? Oh, that call.
But the tie. Don't you always feel like the Niners put ourselves in this kind of position to have to second guess, where the defense shut them down, made the punter punt more than his entire career. And here we are coming down to penalties and stupid plays or some nuance where if the offense had made a couple scores, capitalized on some of the opportunities we had, we wouldn't be having this discussion. We would be having a totally different discussion.
Exactly.
And why did we lose rather than, hey, we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. but we always seem to come down to these little tiny slices and angles and facets of why we lost.
And I feel like that will always be the case.
Death by a thousand cuts, right?
Right. Like, and I think that, whether we win or lose, there's always a question of, well, even though, let's say we won, right? Oh, well, why didn't Kyle go for the fourth, the fourth down and 1 or whatever?
More on fourth quarter. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
That could have gotten us a Robbie Gould field goal, even though we won, like, let's say we won the game,
Yeah.
So there's always going to be something. I mean, to this fan base, I mean, I love Kyle Shanahan, obviously. I'm wearing his faces on my shirt. Okay. He's standing behind me. I love Kyle Shanahan, and I'd be the first one to say, you know what, like, he's got to, just really start calling the game differently. But you know what? He's the coach. This is why we're sitting here.
Right. I personally love the way he calls the games. I do too. The way, he gets a lot of criticism. I think it's that, he needs a quarterback who can execute at his level of play calling. And we just have not had the luxury of having that guy. I personally would have loved to have had Kirk Cousins come to the Niners, because I think, Kirk Cousins is a gunslinger. He can do a lot of the things that Kyle would like to do. And some of these other potential options, when there was talk of obviously Aaron Rodgers coming or other players, the people who can really, really go out there and do the things that Kyle can dream up in his play calling. We just haven't had the luxury of that. And now we have Jimmy, who people love him or hate him with equal passions. And I get it. Like, one day he's great and the next day he's not. But I think Jimmy's has limited potential, and we've seen his ceiling, and I don't think there's any further up for Jimmy. So it is what we already know. It's hit or miss. It's on and off. It's hot and cold. There's never, ever a good lane where you see great consistency from Jimmy.
Yeah. I think if he was more consistent, things would be okay. But my thing is I don't know why apparently we still have a quarterback controversy when Trey Lance can't, like Ty said, like, Trey Lance can't even walk at this point.
He can't walk, and we have one guy who literally can execute our playbook, and maybe
right.
And
now, the last time I checked, there are 31 other teams in this league that have a starting quarterback and a backup quarterback, and I don't hear all these quarterback controversies going around the league. Yeah. So
whoever's making a controversy at this point, that's just noise, because we don't have quarterbacks to have a controversy with.
Yeah, I mean,
Lance injured, so yeah.
But that's the craziness of the fan base, like trying to make one.
Create.
Like after the game Sunday, it was like, put Brock Purdy in. We want Purdy. Put Purdy.
And you can't do that. I mean, it's
like, are you serious?
We're 1-2. It's a long season,
right?
Yeah.
And you want a rookie who has no real NFL playing experience against a guy who has 9-10 years. What is he now? A 9-10 year guy? 9 years? Yeah. Who has a lot of playing experience. He may not have the latest playbook, because we thought we were trading him, but I'm sure by now, when they signed him, he has everything. His
wait a second.
Rusty,
go ahead, Ty.
we got to talk about that for a second. This playbook thing.
The playbook, right? Like, we give him one, and
Kyle Shanahan's playbook hasn't changed much over the past 20 years.
So he knows these plays.
He knows these plays.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have a playbook. And let's think about just the NFL in its, week-to-week basis. On Wednesday, they install the game plans for the upcoming game. So you get the playbook of these. We're going to run these plays in the game on Wednesday. You have from Wednesday to Saturday or Sunday morning to study them. You mean to tell me no one gave them a playbook during the week?
Yeah. So studying, I'll give you that. that part he probably knows, but I think, not being the starter and coming off the injury, I think he was probably a little rusty, and he looked a little rattled a couple times to me.
But that's the way he always looks.
Well,
isn't that the way he always looks?
Sometimes he has
That's true. He kind of has like happy feet.
But that's part of his inconsistency.
Right.
Sometimes he'll stand in the pocket tall and deliver a strike, or he'll make a move.
To Ayuk the first time was a laser right between almost double coverage. He hits Ayuk like bam, and then he's like chucking things and off the back foot, and just like throwing dumb things, missing wide open Debo, who's waving like, "Hey, I'm not here to say hi to you." I can make a touchdown right now if you throw me this ball.
Yeah.
And he decides to throw it, elsewhere and make stupid plays. So you just never know which Jimmy's going to show up. He's like Jekyll and Hyde, like my ex-husband.
I mean, after the Seahawks game, Jimmy did say, there were a few new plays, but a few isn't going to get you, right.
Yeah. And that's part of it. Like, Kyle may draw up a few new plays for common opponents to throw them off. I'm sure we do that for all of our division opponents. Got to show them something new, right? But
you
for
see
the
them
most
that
part,
often, right? You have to make some sort of flavor change, or they're going to pick it up. They're going to learn to read your
Like
but he's been with us for a while.
Running a clear route and bringing a guy in underneath on a dagger. That's one of Kyle's signature plays. He knows it. No need to say that's new. Uncle Keith in the house.
During a hurricane. What's up, Uncle Keith? Stay safe down there.
Hopefully you're safe down there, and you did all the right provisions. You have provisions and batteries.
Yeah, man.
Yes. Be careful. Too many people down there to loved ones and such. Be safe.
Hold on, we gotta show Melissa.
I was actually just looking at that comment.
I hear you, Melissa.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jimmy's what we have right now.
Jimmy may be a 10 in many ways.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
But not the quarterback.
Jimmy's a 10 on certain scales, but good Lord.
Well, let's put this into context here.
Right. Uh-oh, Ty, you went on mute.
I think you're muted.
You got muted somehow, Ty.
So excited to put it into context. There you go.
He is our backup quarterback. Now, any other backup quarterback in the league, when they have to take over, you don't expect much from them. You hope they can get you there.
We had hopes for some trade capital out of Jimmy, though. Come on. We thought we were going to get a little something back for him.
Well, I think we were until the surgery.
Maybe Jimmy at the backup spot can be our Nick Foles. What do you think?
If he plays consistently.
That'd be great. He has a lot. I feel like, Jimmy has a lot to prove this season, and maybe that will serve as motivation for him to want to really perform well this season. Because I think his career's riding on it. Overall, like any future aspirations he has of staying in the league and having a starting job, he's going to have to come out and perform a lot better than he has in this last game and a half. But certainly, it's not the first time. Last year we started 3-5. We didn't actually start with the greatest of records and turn that season around. And maybe that's what we're seeing a little bit of here, but
it's still very early.
Yeah, I thought he looked as bad as Jimmy has ever looked in the game last week.
He didn't look too bad. He just missed opportunities.
Yeah.
Like the long 37-yard pass to Debo, great play design.
Right.
It's something we've all been hoping Kyle would do, and it was wide open.
Right. I mean,
he connected on the pass, but the pass wasn't perfect.
Yeah,
It
if he
wasn't
hit him in
where it
stride.
should have been. Exactly.
Yeah. But he
And
made
that's what we need.
I'm sorry that the like stepping out of bounds as the quarterback and back of the end zone.
That kind of.
There's a lot of like really mental mistakes that he made. The overthrows, the missed throws, like come on, you're a 9-year veteran. You got to be better than that when you're out there. And I think some of it's rust from surgery and not having the same level of reps that probably Trey Lance has gotten. And hopefully, he gets better as the weeks go on, but Jekyll and Hyde will always be his nature, I think.
His MO. Is his MO.
Yep.
And I also,
when we need a great play, he's going to let us down like he always does.
You know what? I hope not. I hope going forward.
I hope not too. For our sake, for his sake,
right? Because I really think that we needed to have this type of game, because this was probably the worst 49ers game, worst football game I've ever seen. In my opinion.
I don't know ever, just that there's a lot of ugly ones.
But I just
in recent history,
I
Brian Boyer games where
that's true. That's very true. You are correct on that. But I just a matter of speaking, like I don't know. But even the penalties too. I mean, Becca, you were saying like the mental mistakes and and stuff like that of Jimmy, and we had the penalties back just like we did in Chicago. And I hope this isn't going to be an every other week thing.
Chicago was mind blowing with penalties, but I also was like, okay, is this the environment right now that's causing some of this? Because we typically are not that level of mistake making, penalty making team. So in Chicago, I was like, I don't know if it's the first game and the weather playing a part of that, but we got penalized so much. I was like, wow, this is terrible. But hopefully those are, those also come around to settling down, because that's unacceptable too.
Yeah.
And the home opener, we cleaned that right up.
We did. I was paying attention to that. We really didn't have a lot of calls against us. I'm trying to think. I didn't actually go back and look at statistics. I've been working a lot this week. So I actually tried to rewatch the game last week and last night, and I was like, "Ooh, this is not. No, I don't think I can do it."
I definitely won't be rewatching Sunday night's game. But I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Through 3 weeks, who is your top player who stands out, and who's the one that really needs to improve more?
The Tongan Tiger, top player for sure. He is playing lights out. Come on. I think he's playing so well. And unexpectedly, I think people are paying attention to Bosa and Warner, that he's getting to make some plays that maybe weren't factoring him in quite the same way. So I think he's doing great. Mcglinchey has just been missing. And I'll just say that. And whoever's now going to be plugging in for Trent Williams is going to probably struggle. This is going to be playing some top caliber people. But
although Colton McKivitz was doing really well in Trent
Williams'
spot.
He did play okay. Yeah.
No problem with that. Yeah. Okay. So I'll go next. Through the first 3 games, I'm going to give a game ball to Hufunga's running mate, Tayshaun Gibson. Filling in for Jimmy Ward.
Yeah.
I think he's been doing an admirable job there.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't heard his name a lot negatively. It's been positive, and he has been making a lot of positive plays. So and it's going very under the radar-ish, which is kind of a good thing. That's a sign of some just concise, solid play.
Yeah.
And that's what we needed from him, So he gets my game ball. A person that is a big scratcher for me is Mike Mcglinchey. You know, I've just seen him
right?
just
He's
give up
missile.
some plays and look like the Mcglinchey of old, getting beat on some rushes and things. And like on that goal line play, unfortunately, you know, he was turned around looking at Jimmy. And you never want to see your offensive lineman facing your quarterback. That's a sign of
now he's
disaster right
chasing
there.
somebody who got past him. Exactly.
Exactly. He's looking at the quarterback and the guy that beat him. So
Who beat
it's
him,
never
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm
I feel like
hoping
our
he
run
steps it up.
protection is a little lacking in our pass protection is a little lacking. Run protection seems to be decent, but somehow Mcglinchey's getting beat in the pass protection quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Vince, I thought this too. Wonder if that makes Ward expandable after the season. It may. I mean, Ward is 30 or going to be 30.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens.
Yep. Vince, I had the same thought. He's going to be 30. He's going to be looking for a contract. This might be his last contract. And this might put him in that DJ Jones category where we got a guy who can, replace him a little cheaper.
Yeah.
And
does the job well.
And he can do the job. If he, wants to walk, we would be inclined to let him walk. So there's one thing about Ward, though. He has taken team-friendly deals in the past. Yeah. And I know that's because
true.
He was injured as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe he really likes it here and wants to stay here. He's comfortable. So that may play in our favor.
So if he gets an offer.
Yeah, but when you get a certain age and, it might be that last contract, like I said, you might be like, time to cash in.
Yeah.
See when I see him.
We'll see how he plays after he comes back.
Right.
Yeah.
I think he's due to come back after this week. So
he may play himself into a high contract or a low one. You never know. So
exactly.
That's true.
Yeah, but we'll see. When he does come back, it makes us stronger. So I'm just happy about that.
Yes. Stronger is good.
Indeed.
But my two, Talanoa Hufanga is the obvious choice, but I think I'm going to go Mooney Ward.
I was going to say Ward. The name Ward, is that like a new prerequisite to play on the Niners?
It used to be Smith. Now it's Ward.
Now it's Ward.
Exactly.
We've switched.
But I'm going to go Mooney Ward. I think he definitely bolsters our secondary. And if we can have Jason Verrett come back, I think he's due back after this week as well.
Mm-hmm.
That would be huge. But I'm so glad that we have Mooney on our team. And then obviously on the other side, I'm going to go Swiss cheese, Mike Mcglinchey as well.
Unanimous.
I
think unanimous winner.
The Grinch. Right. We're going to call him Grinchy now.
Right. I honestly think that with Joe Staley being on that offensive line, I think it really helped him out a lot. Yeah. And then Joe Staley retired, and that was it.
It exposed his weaknesses for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think I like Mike Mcglinchey. He's a nice guy, having met him.
Yeah. His family's super nice too. I met them all too. Nice. Everybody's wonderful, but at the end of the day,
it's a business, and
I don't want them, facing our quarterbers.
That's true. Right. That's true.
That's
happened
him.
One too many times.
Him. Yeah. So.
Exactly.
So the fan base is pretty much saying that we miss Mike McDaniel.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I think we're always going to miss. We had this conversation off record about people like Jim Tomsula, who performed well in their position coach role and did not translate well into other roles like head coach. Like, I felt like that was a recipe for disaster, and the only other option when that failed was he was going to leave the team. Mike McDaniel leaving to take a head coaching job. I think right now he's having success. Whether that's sustainable or not, we'll see. But I think we are missing Mike. I think he brought a lot to the table for the team, and we missed some of his insight and his genius behind Kyle. And I guess they probably had a very good relationship in terms of drawing up plays or deciding what play to run. So I think people are not wrong about missing Mike McDaniel, especially seeing him have success outside of the organization. But, we can't, I don't think we can dwell on that because this is part of the nature of the league. These kinds of coaches who are good are going to leave. I wouldn't be surprised to see
D'Amico
Ryans get a head coach offer. And, we're going to continue to have that turnover. It's what happens in the league. So you have to figure out how to grow and expand beyond that and find the right people to plug back in. But yeah, of course, we're going to miss Mike. He was great, as demonstrated now by his success in Miami.
I'm going to say no.
Good for you, Ty. Why?
It was Mike. Listen, I know this is the usual fan base panic. We're going to look for anything.
The overreaction.
It's because exactly. It's because McDaniels isn't here. That's why the play calling is weird. We're not executing. No.
Oh no, I don't think it's that we're not executing. The execution.
But this is part of things people are saying. The creativity isn't there. It's not. No, we've had these problems when he was here.
Yeah, we did.
This regime took over and McDaniels was there. We've always had these problems. So no, because he's gone, the problems, left. No. We've always had these problems, and I watched the Dolphins game on Sunday. They were stinking it up.
Yeah.
That offense wasn't, lighting it up. They were stinking it up.
It's sustainable because initially it's a new person, especially in the division. You've got this new head coach, new ideas. It'll be successful for a little bit, and then someone will figure it out. So we'll see if he translates to a head coach. But oftentimes, it's not, necessarily a guarantee that because you're a success in a position coach that you're going to become the next great, the next Bill Belichick or Bill Walsh or whatever. Yeah.
I don't think, we're missing Mike. Remember, this is Kyle's offense. We all know how stubborn Kyle is. I'm sure true. Mike, helped him with some run concept ideas. If we kind of do this or do this, we can take advantage of the team. That way I studied some film. Yes. But it's still Kyle's offense. He's drawing up the plays and things like that. And that's always been the case.
I do think Mike was a great contributor to that process because, otherwise I don't think he would have been tapped for a head coach job if he didn't have really great, valuable
most definitely
there. But I think it's the nature of the game. You're going to have to move on and you're going to evolve from those coaches for sure.
Right.
I don't think that we miss him. I just think from what he's doing in Miami, they were down against the Ravens. Yeah, they came back to win. When they played the Bills, half of the Bills team is hurt, just like, we've caught the injury bug in the past. And hopefully we do not do that this time around. Although we do have, key injuries. Not on wood, seriously.
Right.
But I don't think we miss him. I mean, that's saying everybody's, replaceable but he just, I don't know. I mean, like Ty said, it is Kyle Shanahan's offense. He's one of the best coaches in the league. He's up there, with, Andy Reid, people could have said the same thing last year, like, oh, do we miss Robert Saleh? And I would have said no. Yeah. Because
I actually think the answer is always yes for a little while because you get used to a process and you get used to having that familiarity that initially, I think you do miss the cohesiveness and whatever synergies you have. It doesn't mean there aren't quality people like D'Amico Ryans who can step in and go, okay, well, we'll move on, and we'll manage to fill that gap with quality, that we can continue on forward. But I always feel like when somebody leaves that was a valuable contributor, you're gonna miss that for a little bit until you get used to whatever's next. So you might have some, I don't know, disruption in the continuity of the value in the play, but you will move on. It's always an evolving process. Just look at the league. People go everywhere now, so you can't get used to.
I just think with the defense, there was more continuity there. When Robert Saleh left and D'Amico Ryans taken over, like we didn't really have to worry about like, oh, they're struggling. I think we've had the offensive struggles last year. We still have them this year, but I think it's mainly because of the quarterback situation. I mean, sure. Trey Lance, okay, he played in week 1. I mean, week 2, the home opener. I mean, he got hurt quickly, unfortunately. I mean, that really sucked. But and now when Jimmy took over, everyone was like, "Oh my God, this is great," and last week, I don't need to say it because we talked about it. So I think the offense, I mean, people are, again, like, just like the Jimmy, like, I like Jimmy, I like Trey Lance. It's, do we miss Mike McDaniel? Do we, I don't know.
There's always going to be second guessing and shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Exactly.
But, these things are done and over with. You can't have Mike McDaniel back or anybody else. You have to look at what you have and make the best of it. So if you're not looking forward and looking at what potential and where we can go from here, then you're just, it's all speculation and just talk. It's hyperbole. Like, why waste your time and energy missing Mike McDaniel when it's not going to do you any good?
Yeah. And Jess, you bring up a great point, which I think nobody's thinking about, the continuity of the offense. When you talk about that transition from Saleh to Ryans didn't have to rebuild his defensive line, right?
Right. It's like they didn't even miss a beat.
Yeah,
right.
He didn't have to get a new middle linebacker to quarterback the defense.
Right.
That stuff is there. Coming into the season, forget Mike McDaniels. What was the 2 biggest questions, concerns regarding the 49ers? The offensive line and the play of the quarterback. It seems like everybody forgot that. How is this offensive line going to hold up? Will they have continuity inside? Will Mcglinchey hold up? That was a big concern. It's still a concern. How is the quarterback going to play? We lost our starter. Our backup is there. That question is still a concern. It's still there. And everyone seems to forget that. These are the things we were questioning when the season started. So the book is still out on that.
No, you're
especially
right.
Now with our future guy injured, the play we saw from Jimmy last week is what I would equate to what we would have expected to see from Trey Lance. If we saw a performance, an inconsistent performance like that out of Trey Lance, we'd be like, okay, had some good plays, some bad plays, but he's growing, he's learning, he's going to get better. This is from a 9-year guy who just, looks like he imploded. On the continuity side of it.
You saw a rookie play.
Right.
Out of a
veteran QB.
In all honesty, I don't even know if that you could even, chalk that up to like if it would be a rookie play. Because I've never seen a rookie like backing out of the end zone as if he's going off to the locker room.
Exactly. I mean, stepping out of the back of the end zone.
Even beside that, let's say he didn't even step out. Okay. Let's say he just made it to the edge of the end zone. He threw the ball to a guy who was blanketed by a bigger guy.
Instead of throwing that ball away and making a
what
valuable,
was he thinking there?
Thoughtful play.
Yeah.
He chucked it to a guy that basically picked it off, but the play was over.
Yeah.
Right,
Like,
right.
oh, this
He
guy's
really
blanketed.
made
I'm going to throw it to him.
terrible decision.
Throw
in
that ball
moment.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see a stat of how many times Jimmy has actually thrown the ball away, because I don't think it's a lot.
It's really not. He takes a lot of sacks instead of doing the Tom Brady or the Aaron Rodgers
thing.
Yeah, they chuck and
live
tough.
to fight live to fight another down.
Russell, yes, exactly. They fire it away somewhere where they're not taking the sack. We're not losing the yards.
Yep.
We get to go on with the next play.
Yep.
Jimmy is.
So I'm going to bring this back up here. What Vince said.
Yeah.
There were plenty of plays that were missed on
point.
Sunday night. Just need a quarterback to make it happen.
Amen.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I've said, you know, on another show, I've said last year when we were playing the Tennessee Titans, and Juice was wide open, and he missed them. Like, and I literally just sat there and I'm like, oh my God, that was a touchdown. And that could have been the deciding factor in winning the game. And the whole playoff picture could have been a little bit different.
Yeah, that was not
And think about that game. That was another example of a game where we were beating them.
Yep.
You know, our defense was dominating, but our offense was making plays like that.
Yeah.
Couldn't get it going. Remember, Jimmy threw a interception headed toward Kittle in the end zone as well. That took points off the board.
Yep.
So that was another example of a game we were just not executing, shooting ourselves in the foot. It let Tennessee hang around in the game, And the next thing you know, in the third, fourth quarter, they started making some plays, took the lead. And it was like, oh, we should have been blowing them out. That game should have been, 21-zip at halftime.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly how I felt about the game, the Denver game.
The Denver game Sunday.
By halftime, we weren't blowing them out, and we let them hang around, and we're only up by 7. This is not going to go well in the second half. If they catch any sort of a wind, we're done because our offense is not scoring points. And anytime we get in those situations, we're not a comeback team. We're not a fourth quarter comeback team as of late. It's not the years of old where, we could always count on the last second of winning. But
we
don't have Joe Montana back there to throw 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Jerry, one of these guys here to catch something or Frank Gore will tunnel through and make a great play. No, we don't have those guys anymore. And we have great guys. We just don't have someone who's has the ability to see the field the way he should and make those plays. Yeah.
Ty, you mentioned George Kittle. Man, he needs to get more involved. I'm kind of tired of him being on the line and, block. I know he loves to block and he likes to, he loves his pancake blocks, but we need to get him more involved because when George Kittle's involved, like the offense looks different.
Yeah.
Same for Debo. How'd you feel about Debo's performance? Like the amount of work he got in on the game?
A lot of people think like, oh, don't put him in the running back position because we have running backs. We should have brought in Mason. But you know what? Debo wants the ball. What football player doesn't want the ball?
Right.
And Debo is a Swiss Army knife. That's what he does best, in the backfield, as a receiver. But you know what? Teams are starting to realize how we utilize Debo. And
I feel like George Kittle too gets a lot of attention now.
Right. And you know what? And we saw that Sunday night. So, in my opinion, you put in somebody like Mason, and who runs hard and, you use our running backs.
Yeah. So here's what I got to say. Kittle definitely needs to be involved. I understand Kyle wanted him to block and keep him in to chip and help with the line, but you could use a running back for that. You could use check for that. Get Kittle out there in routes and let him do his thing. because when he's getting the ball, we're moving the ball. You know, we're going downfield. So we definitely got to get him involved more. I know he was just coming back from injury,
right from being injured as well.
He was itching to get in the Seattle game, and we held him out to be safe. Use him, get him out there, right?
Yeah,
he's definitely got to get him out there.
I mean,
and then they have been strategic. You don't know like to what level he's still semi-injured and just play for the mental part of it. So we'll see next week how.
There's certain downs and situations where he can definitely be a factor and move the ball, you know. And as far as Debo, you know, you're right. Teams are keying on when he's in the backfield. Yep. And I think we need to get back to what originally made him a weapon. If you go back to 2018, 2019, we were using him on jet sweeps, reverses, a lot of misdirection that got him the ball.
Yes.
And last year with Mike McDaniels, that stopped. It was just, hey, Debo, get in the backfield by the quarterback. We're going to give you the ball. Go.
Well, and he was unstoppable to some extent.
Right,
he was unstoppable, so why not?
He is great, but now teams are gearing up. When they see him in the backfield, you see 9, 10 guys in the box.
Did he get stopped?
And they're saying, you heard them calling it out on Sunday.
Yeah.
They were like, alert 19. And just coming down and just playing this big box defense to key on him. Go back last week to the Seattle game when he had that big run.
Yep.
Remember, he broke a tackle in the backfield because they were keying on him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Then after he broke that tackle, he had 3 guys in front of him, plus a defensive lineman running behind him. He literally had to somehow miraculously
magically
dodge 5 people to make a play because they were keying on him.
And that's
we got to get more creative in getting him the ball
like,
out of the backfield.
They're looking at Debo. They're watching how we're using Debo.
Exactly.
So and why don't you just okay, you want to use Debo, right? You use him as like a decoy sometimes. You put him in the backfield, but you send George Kittle, you send Danny Gray, you send Brandon Ayuk, and do it that way. And just kind of, because you're kind of keeping a defense honest, instead of them just coming in and like, oh, they're going to use Debo. Let's just crowd the box. I mean,
if we actually did a hard play action play with Debo, that would suck the entire defense up. It'd be wide open behind him for a big play. That's why that wheel route
that has to only happen. That can only happen if the O-line holds up, because Jimmy will need several seconds to be able to assess the field. And that's where it usually collapses. Somebody gives up, someone gets past Mcglinchey or breaks that O-line, the pocket starts to collapse, and then he goes off the rails and he can't make a play with that.
Yeah.
You know what I noticed too?
When we just did a wheel route with Debo out the backfield, one-on-one against a linebacker. That was genius. That was a play that we've all been saying, hey, if he's back there as a running back, that means a linebacker was going to have to cover him at some point.
Have to cover him.
Just use him on a pass play, out of the backfield. And it was that should have been a touchdown. But it was a genius play call.
What I noticed too, to get Jimmy into rhythm, we used to do like the rollouts, quick passes. We didn't do that on Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
At all.
A lot of that. I didn't see that either. But I
kind of expected that to get him going.
I thought, we always scripted like at least the first number of plays for him too, to help get him in a rhythm as well. And it didn't feel like
Kyle always scripts some quick passing plays for him. And if you look at the beginning of the game, it was all quick passing plays.
Yeah. Well, and
that highlighted it during the broadcast.
The second drive looked great.
And we had the touchdown. Right.
We spread the field. Ayuk, lots of people got open. I mean, Ayuk especially, obviously. and it seemingly was working, but then I guess the other team made some adjustments to some of that. But
And the one thing I feel we always go away from is whatever works.
yeah,
I know I'm not the only one who
Right.
feels that, you know, like, you know, that second drive, right? Like, you know, obviously that's like literally the only drive that was great for us. You know, like everything worked on that drive, you know, and then it's like we really don't go back to anything, or we kind of shied away from the run game, you know, and the run game is what makes everything else open up, especially when you have Jimmy under center.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like we tried to run the ball, but they kept like bringing in, you know, they pulled in the linemen and or the secondary.
Yeah, but then you kind of establish the edge.
Well,
you know what I mean?
We should have, but we didn't do that. Like that's the one thing that I thought was missing. We didn't throw anything to the edges. I didn't see any of those kind of plays hardly at all when they would start to bring in the you know, the secondary and start to knowingly shut down the run because they knew we were going to try to run, and they were successful at that. So when you take away the middle and you take away the run game and we don't have an edge game, then, you know, we really struggled to move the chains at all. Like the defense would play lights out, and then we would come in and chuck, nothing, run, nothing. Like it's just
right back.
hard to watch. Like not even like some little sideline chuck passes. Come on, play something. At least try to move the chains. But it seemed like we, you know, and again, Jimmy, I don't know what his health level really is or his comfort level. So we're kind of playing in some suspect territory at this point, I guess.
You know what I find funny? Sorry, go ahead, Jess.
No, I was just saying that, you know, like the third downs, I was reading something where third downs were terrible, but second down, like were actually even worse.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like how is that even like, how is that possible? Like this whole game, like I wish we could just like replay it because this like this whole
do-over.
Yeah. Like let's get a do-over. Like seriously, do-over. I know obviously that can't happen, but yeah, like I said, I think just this game needed to happen, and it was, you know, I hope and I'm sure the players are like, what is this? This was kind of embarrassing. This is not our game, you know. So hopefully we learn from this.
Yeah,
and it happened early rather than later when we really need to make our push.
It's like super meaningful. Because literally, if we beat the Rams next week, we're gonna be at the top of the division.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wouldn't that put us in the top of the division? So
it does. Yes.
What's up, bro?
Yeah.
Amin the Dream. What's up?
How you doing, man?
Thanks for the support, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. It would put us on top of the division.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like the season's over. I mean,
no.
We have that fatalistic view right now, but there's a lot of football left to play. So I do think we're a little rusty coming out. Maybe we need a little tweaking, a little massage. Jimmy needs to go visit a girlfriend.
Watch some, right? Yeah. Watch some film too. I mean,
exactly.
You know, that wouldn't hurt.
Some film.
You know?
Yeah, seriously.
Ask somebody to get a playbook. Maybe read it, you know.
Maybe borrow a playbook.
Since you didn't get a playbook, you know.
Just saying, a playbook might come in.
You know, maybe go over some new plays. You know,
maybe ask
you should
a guy.
Check that out on check. Dear Jimmy, I'll buy it on check for you.
Yeah, right.
The playbook's in the mail.
I mean, I love the Bay. We, my mom and I had such a great time. It's not our first time going out there, but we had a blast. We were out there for a week, and you know, we did a lot of stuff. But you know, all good things must come to an end, unfortunately.
Yes.
Isn't Amin from the Bay? He's from the area. Amin, where are you from? You're out there. I know you're out there.
I think he is.
I think he is.
It's always great. We spent New Year's Day with my girlfriends, and I did New York. New Year's in the Bay.
Oh, that must have been cool.
Nice.
It was fun. Yeah, we did. We had a great time. We stayed in downtown San Fran and went to wine country as we always do, and had a great time.
Napa's great. I love Napa.
It is.
And Sonoma. You know what? You can't go to California, and just not go there.
Not go there. Yeah, there's so many things to do. Really, it was good because we went and saw some eclectic things that we hadn't done before.
Yeah. We always like to try to. We like going back to the same vineyards, but we also like to try like new ones. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, same.
Oh,
same.
sweet. Okay.
Oh, cool. Yes. Yeah.
That game was so much fun. I had a great time.
I did too. I mean, despite the weather, the on and off rain, it was so much fun.
Yeah, there was no happy medium with the weather. It was either it was rainy or it was hot, and then we're wearing the layers and
right. You're taking off the rain gear, or
and then you're putting it back on.
So hard. You couldn't be without it. It was
So, Becca, you mentioned Kirk Cousins before, and we all know that Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't Kyle Shanahan's pick.
No.
For quarterback. No. Kirk Cousins or Matthew Stafford?
Ooh. I mean, I personally, I guess I like Cousins' style of play better than Stafford, but I mean, I would take either one of them over Jimmy personally, because I think they're better quarterbacks than he is. And I think, you talk about either one of them, they've had their challenges in the same way with O-lines and having, tools in the toolkit to throw to, but I think they're both better than he is. I mean, Stafford may be more consistent at times. Cousins is a little more of a wild card. And I think Kyle kind of likes that a little bit, where he can run, he'll scramble, he'll do those kind of things for you. But I would take either one of them over Jimmy.
Yeah, I would go with Stafford if I had to choose the two. Like, I was excited at the thought of us possibly getting Stafford. I just think he's a better thrower of the football than Cousins. Like Becca said, he's more consistent in that regard. Although he can get streaky and throw picks, but overall, he's a better thrower of the football. So I would have,
I think he's a better pocket guy.
Yeah.
For sure. Then Cousins is more of that scramble quarterback who will shovel pass and do all the crazy stuff that can be successful, but sometimes not.
I'm going to go Stafford as well. I think even like Kirk Cousins in Washington, when Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan were there, he had his flashes, but he still wasn't very consistent there.
Exactly.
But he was only young too. He was
that's
young.
True. Yeah. That's true. But but as far as Matthew Stafford, I mean, he spent most of his career with the Lions. And my cousin is a Lions fan. Shout out to her.
Detroit with a lot of love, giving them that.
But I mean, I think Matthew Stafford would have excelled in Kyle Shanahan's offense, and I know that they were trying to get him. But here we are today with Jimmy Garoppolo moving forward, and I mean, showing some love for Ty.
That's right.
But like Jimmy Garoppolo moving forward into week 4.
Yep.
We got the Lambs coming in.
It's a big game for us. This is the big game for Jimmy. It's a big game for everyone to try and pull it back together, rein it back.
Is this a make it or break it game for us?
No.
Well, I kind of think so on some level. I mean, if we win, we're atop the division. That's going to give people some confidence. And I think it's going to maybe settle down some of the whatever jitters and what have you. Some players may be having, or fans and staff. And if we lose, we have one win. We're 1-3. That's not exactly where you want to start the season. And
it's definitely not ideal. But remember last year we were 3-5.
Yeah. I mean, we did start 3-5, and we can always claw back, but it's just a better position to know you have 2 wins in the division.
You're not clawing from the bottom,
Right.
trying to dig yourself out of a hole.
You're winning
which we
2 games in the division, which is huge.
which we always seem to dig ourselves into a
Think
hole.
it up, right?
You know what I mean? Like if we needed to lose the Denver game, they're outside of the conference.
Yeah.
They're a team that was the game to lose.
Yeah.
This game coming up, you always want to win your division game, especially at home. It's a team we know we're not going to see anything new or different, and we know we match up well with them. We know we can handle them.
We
as
know
long
them
as we
well.
play 49er football. And that's what it all comes down to. If we lose the game, there'll be outbreak and panic, blah, blah, blah. But then after that,
even more so than now.
Yeah, even more so than now, because we're 1-3, and the sky will be falling. Fire Kyle, fire everybody, fire York and everybody. Just
don't even have the team anymore.
Exactly. Demote the team. Promote the USFL team, all of that stuff, but then we'll move forward. We'll play the Panthers. We'll beat on them. We'll play the Falcons and beat them, and everybody will be happy-go-lucky and optimistic. It's the nature of 49er fandom.
It is.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think it's a very important game for us to win because it really does give us leverage in the division, and
in division. That's why it's important
as much as anything else. Like
that
is the 2 outside games, fine, but the 2 inside games that matter, that's where it counts.
Always want to be a division foe just because of that. Show dominance within your division. If you take care of your division, the rest will take care of itself.
The rest will take care of itself.
And that's why I deem like all division games must win. Exactly. All division games must win, especially against the team that is a contender for the division as well. Let's beat them in an established state. Yeah.
I still can't believe they won the Super Bowl.
I know.
But yeah, we already took care of Seattle. We need to take care of the Rams.
Exactly.
Amin says it's not a make or break game, but the Niners offense definitely has to be better as the season progresses. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We cannot have a repeat of Sunday night.
Absolutely.
So what's on your mind, Becca?
24 plus points a game.
What is on my mind?
Is this 2 minutes?
Wow. Well, yes, beat LA, what he said. We really need to win this game. I do think we do. I think that I think it's probably more important than we're letting on, because I do think it will give us, it'll bring us back to 500. We'll be 2-2, and it might like calm some of the waters a little bit.
Hysteria.
Yeah. The whole, as you know, Niner fans get a little crazy in the head.
Yep.
Yeah, we were like I've said, this last game really put us down. I'd hate to be, the Lambs this week, because I feel, and we're home. I think we're going to come out. We're just going to, kick some ass and take names.
I think that's true. I think that they're going to have to be highly motivated to win. They're going to want this so badly because of last week's outing. I think that's true.
Yeah.
Yep. But I think that brings us to our 2-minute warning and our closing thoughts.
All right. 2-minute warning time. Da-da-da.
And Ty, we are starting with you. Go ahead.
Closing thoughts. Okay. I'm going to go off a little bit of rant here. So this week we've heard that Jimmy Garoppolo said his arm was a little sore. He was a little tired. What's funny? He just came off of surgery, and all off season we didn't hear anything about his arm. But this off season we did hear a lot about Trey Lance's arm, his arm fatigue, his arm soreness. Will his arm hold up? It's weird that the guy coming off surgery and literally saying, "Oh, my arm's tired. I felt it." You haven't heard a peep about that. It just shows you how some people in the national media just don't want to see Trey succeed. It's a damn shame that they picked on this young man like that. That's it. I'm done.
Go ahead, Becca.
Well, I'll follow on that just a little bit. That I do think, the critics are just either so critical or so loving of these guys, and you have these two factions of people wanting to see Trey fail so badly or Jimmy succeed so much that they really don't want to see it for what it is. And I don't wish ill on either of these quarterbacks. I hope Jimmy succeeds. I hope he's great. I hope he gets over this. And then we come out guns a-blazing and he's successful next week. And then we rip the lambs to shreds, like we really need next week to be great.
Niner fans, it is about the logo on the helmet, not the name and number on the jersey.
Yeah.
Go Niners, beat LA, beat the Lambs. Let's get this season rocking. Put that last game behind us. Let's all come together as a fan base. And that's it. Go Niners.
Beat LA.
Woo!
LA.
Like, subscribe, turn those notifications on. Let's go.
Let's go Niners. Let's do it.
Thanks, Amin. See you guys next week.
Thanks, Amin. See you guys next week.
Everyone.
Awesome show next week.
They're 6 yards away from Pontiac. 3rd and 3.
We'll see a pickup sometime on the right side, possibly.
Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. Caught it! Dwight Clark!
Get it in there without the glare. The catch.
Awesome. See you guys.